Okay. Okay. Public hearing first. Good. Yeah. Stream.
I'd like to call this public hearing for bylaw 2023 to order at 7 p.m. on September the 11th, 2023. Next, we will have supporting documents for bylaw 2023 being a bylaw of the city of Thompson to amend bylaw 1891-2012 as amended, which will amend figure 48 permanent medium conditions uses to CDTR zone by adding kennel boarding as a conditional use to special care. Administration.
So yeah, we've received the application, it has been circulated to those involved. It's also been circulated to the province. There's been a comment back from the province, and this is the public hearing here concerning.
Thank you. Next, we'll be receiving presentations in favor or opposed to the bylaw. So please come to the front, state your name and make your presentation, and then please say if you're in favor or opposed.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Oliver Saw. I'm the chair of the board of the Thompson Municipality. I'm here to speak in support of the variance. Just a little bit of a background as to why we're requesting this. As many know, we just acquired 40 Nelson Road back in the summer. Our goal is to bring in partnership with the Winnipeg Community Society, low cost pay and neuter clinics, and also vaccinations. Actually, not just Thompson, but for the region as a whole. So this we have all seen as a huge need in Thompson. I think for many people around here, we know that we do have a lot of low-income families and so on who would really benefit from this. How the boarding ties into our plan is that most of the services we'll be providing will be, of course, either at a nil profit or at a very low margins. We do have a mortgage on the building. We do need to bring in some additional income streams. We've always seen boarding as very much a need in Thompson, going back to probably the last 10 years ago when we first looked at it, and we're excited to look at this again. I know that when people mention kenneling, I've heard this a couple of times, that there's a vision that we're going to have animals outside the building, all types of hours and so on. Boarding under the Thompson Community Society will be very far from that. We do have a very well-equipped building. We plan to have the animals inside most of the time. Of course, they will need to go out at certain times of the day for their washroom break, some fresh air. But the plan is not to have dogs outside the building. We are in a commercial zone, and we respect the fact that we don't want to have that being an issue. The building was operated as a veterinary clinic for close to 35-40 years. The amount of animals that we will have in there for boarding is very small compared to the amount of animals that have gone through there as a vet clinic. So in saying that, it does help us to achieve our main focus, which is to bring in low cost veterinary services in Thompson, and we'll be able to do it in a manner which, of course, will not irritate anyone. As I said, I believe voting is something that very much needs since age is moving down. This is service, I think, that will be a benefit to a lot of Thompson. So that's it. Thank you.
Anyone else speak in favor or opposed to this hearing? Okay, seeing none. Call for adjournment. Adjournment. Those all in favor? Next is public hearing for bylaw 2035, 2023 zoning bylaw amendment. And we'll call this into order at 7:06 p.m. on September the 9th, 2023. Supporting documentation for bylaw 2035, 2023 being a bylaw of the city of Thompson to amend bylaw 1891-2012 being a zoning bylaw as amended, which will amend figure 35 permitted conditional use in the CMU zone by rezoning health services as a permitted accessory use and additional health services as a permitted principal use. Administration?
Yeah, again, this is just the zoning bylaw to remove health services from the accessory use and add it to the permitted uses for CMU. It is permitted in other commercial zones, so really this brings the CMU zone into line with our other areas. So basically, the public hearing is something.
Thank you. Next, we'll be receiving presentations in favor or opposed. Please come, state your name and whether you're in favor or opposed.
Hi, I'm Heather Matichuk and I'm here looking for your support to have this pass through. So I have been a nurse for 20 years. I've been in the community here in the north for 15. And in my experience and from what we've experienced in our demographic is that we're risking losing our foot care services. We've lost 2 nurses. So I do have one full-time Indigenous entrepreneur who is a colleague of mine. She's a nurse and she's going to be joining me to do full-time foot care, as well as incorporate partnerships with the outlying communities on a contractual basis. I know that our city and our northern residents maybe have a little misconception as to the foot care services we had before. In Manitoba, a lot of the foot care services are a fee for service. So we're looking at ways to keeping it as affordable. I know that she's looking to get grants to help some of the outlying communities. I have a second nurse who is about to finish her foot care, and then a third that's looking to join me as well once she's finished her nursing. So within the next year, I should have 3 out of the space. So we're just looking to fill that gap. It's a lot of money that we spend as a hospital nurse as well. I see all the horrible effects that it has. It's costing our province thousands, millions of dollars just for us to ship patients. So there will, I do expect there will be a fee for service. The Northern Health Region did cover this for a lot of our clients. I'm thinking more of our public clients that we will have, because a lot of our clients are fixed income, they're our elderly population, but they're also the ones that are going to end up losing limbs, getting depression, having all these trickle effects, which will affect our community. It affects our hospital bed, and it's just a total runoff. So I'm just looking for your support to change this bylaw or add the health services. We are looking to incorporate some other services as well within the next year to partner with domestic violence, provide nonprofit services as well for our community, and hopefully just bring a more positive aspect to some of the numbers we've seen associated with our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Okay, seeing none, call for adjournment. Kathy, Rudy, all in favor? Next, we'll call our regular meeting of council to order for September the 11th at 7:10 p.m. I would like to also recognize that we are in Treaty 5 territory, the traditional territory of Mississauga Cree Nation and homeland to the Métis, and that we are all treaty people. Next, I'd like approval of the agenda. Anthony?
Yeah, the administration would like to remove item 6.4.
Are we all in agreement?
Yeah.
So, as amended, can I have an approval of the agenda?
We'll need a mover and a seconder
Oh,
to
mover
amend
and
the
second. Did that, take that, Deputy Mayor Valentino, Councilor Leonard, all in favor? Carry.
Now we need a,
Yeah, that's amended. Now can we have an approval of the agenda as amended? Councilor Fitzpatrick, Deputy Mayor Valentino, all in favor? Carry. Next, we'll move to community comments and feedback. Come up, state your name, address, and how can we help you with any questions on this agenda?
My name is Dennis Foley, I reside at 219 Deerwood. I just want to general comment to make a little pressure, the fact that I know there's a lot of construction going on, but we're still with no street lights, and it's been over a year. We're certainly not starting to, but we've been getting a lot of people going through yards and such like that, and last night I had somebody in my backyard and on my front deck. For whatever reason, I was the only house on the street with the light on, but even the RTP as they were coming down could not see anything. It was pitch black last night. So it's a huge issue for emergency services, trying to find if someone's having any kind of emergency. I know last year for Halloween, we did the light towers. I'm hoping that we can get everything set up for Halloween. So we don't have to do that, but just kind of looking for a little of direction on when we plan on getting that taken care of.
Yeah, so I believe that with Hydro, we've signed off on having the new lights put in. And I believe there are plans. I'll let the director of development tackle this question.
And we actually got down to a hydro on every Friday morning. They're coming now, it's getting Deerwood and Greenwood street lights in starting in the beginning of October. And that will be time before Halloween must have go. Barring Halloween, the light towers will go back in as we come to Halloween. And how they.
My other comment is, moving forward, if there's any other streets where you're gonna be removing and shutting down every street light in that area. Hopefully we can have some kind of a contingency plan to get things going. I think a year and a couple months is a little bit long to have complete darkness in an area where, let's face it, we've got a huge problem with vandalism on property and crime in the city, and all the darkness is just provide cover for people to get around unseen.
Thank you. Any more community comments, feedback? Third time, any more comments, community feedback? Thank you. Next, we're going to go for adoption of minutes. 5.1, the regular meeting of council, August 14, 2023. Resolution 2023-107, moved by Councillor Lambert, seconded by Councillor Chong. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held in council chamber, City Hall, Thompson, Manitoba, on Monday, August 14th, 2023, be adapted as circulated. Administration,
Nothing further.
council,
Nothing further.
call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. 5.2 is adoption minutes for committee of the whole, September the 5th, 2023. Resolution 2023-108, moved by Councillor Fitzpatrick, seconded by Councillor Chong. Be it resolved that the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of council held in council chamber, City Hall, Thompson, Manitoba, on Tuesday, September 5th, 2023, be adopted as circulated. Administration,
Nothing further.
council,
Nothing further.
call to the question. All those in favor? We're now going into resolutions. Resolution 6.1 is a resolution to approve the city of Thompson abuse policy. Resolution 2023-109, moved by Councillor Lundmark, second by Councillor McIver. Be it resolved that council approve the city of Thompson abuse policy. Administration.
Yeah, this is the policy that was brought forth to council through the AMM and the Western Financial Group insurance plan that the city is part of. It's moving forward a requirement of all municipalities in the plan to have an abuse policy that sets out the training and the reporting requirements for any member of staff or member of council. Should there be reports of abuse of any vulnerable persons or children, the steps that have to be taken to address those. The draft policy was brought forth earlier in the year. Members of council wanted to bring forth comments, so it was sent out for comment. I don't believe we received any comments, so the administration brought it back so that we can get a policy on file and start working with something. If council wants to amend it in the future, that's fine, but we believe we should have something on file at this time.
Councillor Lundmark is the mover.
I'll be supporting this for sure. I think we need to start there somewhere, and I don't see any issues with it anyway. I mean, you include all the other acts that go along with it, just thanks us for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Comments from other councillors? I'm glad to see this policy coming forward also. We'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Point 2 is a resolution to approve the 2023 financial plan. Resolutions 2023-110, moved by Councillor Lundmark, seconded by Councillor McIver. Be it resolved that council approve the 2023 financial plan. Go to administration. Lynn.
The financial plan for started with that bylaw, which if you want to read on the agenda. This plan needs to be approved by resolution to be incorporated within the 4 years in the levy bylaw. It can be amended. If the bylaw doesn't have its amendments, so this is before you for approval to make everything correct.
Thank you. Council, I will go to Councillor Lundmark. It's mover. Do you have any?
Thank you, all these supporters first, and thank you, Lynn and Anthony and your team for all that you've done here. Appreciate it. And well, thank you. Thanks.
Any other council comments? Councillor Chong?
I'd like to understand why in 2022, the budget for $55 million, but not unaudited number is $33 million. Why there's a big difference?
Primarily, it's because of the capital works that weren't able to be completed in 2022, and that were to be carried forward into this budget.
Okay, another question is the fiscal service, $28+ million, and we only use $5 million. Why there's a difference?
I don't have that answer for you.
Okay.
Primarily, the major block of that is because the transfer to capital has been not occurred. We had budgeted for 27 million in change, and we only transferred 3,570,000.
But this year, I think we budget for $6 million or something like that. So I'm going to get you the page number. Page 2. They said fiscal service, 28 plus million, and use $5 million. And this year we budget for 11 million. Under expenditure.
If you look at the top of the line in that category on the page, we had budgeted last year for $27 million in capital works.
Okay.
We've only completed $3.5 million, so that's the difference, that's the carryover projects that we brought forward for this year.
Okay. So we didn't use it, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, that's it.
You're
Thank
good,
you.
sir. Okay. Any other comments, Councilor Wong?
Again, Madam Mayor. First, I'd like to thank you, the CFO, managed to get this financial plan finished, even though we put in a very messy situation at that time, and we managed to do it. But I look at the finance plan, and I don't have opportunity to ask or make some comment about operation project. So I'm not saying happy, I'm just saying like I don't have opportunity to ask some of the area that I know we have a room to reduce some expenditure. But because of the time sensitive, and also this is a very unique finance plan, which is never in my 2 terms that we're facing this situation, which is unique to me. And all we did is just discuss about the capital part. The operation part is the most important to me because it's direct impact to our property tax. And of course, we don't have opportunity and we need to get this over. So due to that reason, I cannot support this financial plan and I would like to ask for the call vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Valentino?
Thank you very much. So I think it's important to note and for the public's information that the 2023 operational dollars are already 9 months spent. So that's why some of these numbers are the way they are. So it's the forecasted budget now already for 2024 that this mayor and council are going to work with. So, so that's the reality of this. So it's important that we get this caught up and get passed, so we can have our mill rate passed and start working on 2024. So a lot of these numbers represent already 9 months of our 2023 year. So I'm definitely going to be supporting this and I appreciate the extra effort and help that our finance department has had to do to get this and the due diligence of this new mayor and council that have taken the time and the patience to start to understand this so we can prepare right away for the 2024 budget in a timely manner. So I'll be supporting this mayor soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councilor Oberdorfer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I had a question regarding, I lost it now, so I changed pages. On page 5, it's line 5187, community entity. There's not anything showing, but I thought that we held a contract for a community entity, so I was just confused over why there was nothing in the 2022 budget for that, including the actuals. And then going forward, there's nothing. So I'm just curious if that contract shows up somewhere else, if that's why it's not in there. And then regarding the increase in the sobering center, I was curious what the changes are for 2023.
There, these are the unaudited results of the folks' email scan. There are still some areas that we will be bringing expenditures in. The community entity should be in there, but I'll have to check into that. What's the other?
Just the sobering center underneath it, just the difference from 22 to 23. I'm just wondering if that's
The
like
issue
a
is
capital project or something that we have.
was more curious for it's for the wages for the program manager that the city is supporting within the grant.
Thank you. So clarifying question, are we holding the community entity contract going forward? Because there's nothing in here showing a cost for that.
Yeah, the city does hold the community entity contract with the federal government. So we'll have a look at them.
But technically this will be incorrect then if we pass it, because there's nothing showing, there's no dollar amount showing.
I believe our CFO will be having a look at that, and she said we could modify this as we go forward. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, I would like to thank our administration and CFO for all their hard work, and there definitely will be with the next plan coming in. We had a new council, there was a lot of things to catch up on. It will definitely be a little bit more intense for information for us coming forward for the 2024 budget. With that, I'll call for the question. All those in favor, and it as a recorded vote. In favor, we've got Councillor Oberdorfer, Councillor Lundmark, Mayor Smoot, Deputy Mayor Valentino, Mayor McIver, Councillor Fitzpatrick. Opposed?
Mayor McIver.
Oh, Mayor McIver, okay. Last time was Mayor Oberdorfer, so I've given each one of you the chance. Opposed? We got Councillor Wong and Councillor Chong. This carried. Thank you. 6.3 is a resolution to approve business tax cancellation. Two oh two three one one one, moved by Councillor Fitzpatrick, seconded by Councillor Lundmark. Be it resolved that pursuant to the authority provided in section 306-1 of the Municipal Act, Council hereby authorizes the cancellation of business taxes for JFL services roll number 0263250 for a total cost including penalties of $734.23. Administration.
Thank you, Commissioner. As I mentioned at last week's meeting, this was an oversight when the original notice was received by the city and the assessment branch that this business was closing in 2019. For some reason, the cancellation wasn't processed until January of 2022. At that time, the province assessment branch can only authorize cancellation into the previous year. But it wasn't picked up in our tax department that he had actually closed in October of 2019, and the balance of the 2019 taxes in 2020 and so forth. So that's why the resolution is before you.
Thank you. Councillor Fitzpatrick, as a mover, do you have any?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll be supporting this. Thank you to Lynn and her team for catching this oversight, and I'm absolutely in favor of this.
Thank you. Any other councillors' comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Six point 4 has been removed from the agenda. 6.5 is a resolution to approve the extension of the Manitoba Air Services branch land lease agreement for Lot 2 Plan 509 TLPO North Division. Resolution 2023-113, moved by Councillor Wong, seconded by Councillor Fitzpatrick. Whereas Manitoba Air Services branch is requested to extend the term of the subject lease for a further 1 year commencing October 1st, 2023 and expiring September 30th, 2024. And whereas the cost of the lease is $5,036 pursuant to the City of Thompson's annual fee and fine schedule. Now therefore be it resolved that council extend the term of the subject lease for a further 1 year commencing October 1st, 2023, and expiring September 30th, 2024. For Lot 2, Plan 5094, Field North Division, Manitoba Air Services Branch. Administration.
Yeah, so this is the annual lease renewal for that property. The government real estate and contract services department comes forward every year and asks for the approval done by resolution. So that we would resolution an annual cost of $5,000 aligned with our compliance. Based on feedback from last meeting, I did have a conversation with them about the condition of the buildings, and they have informed me that they will be getting them all secure. We'll continue to watch that.
Councilor Wong, Mr. Mover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just have a question because we do this every year. So let's say there's someone interested in a piece of land. Does the city have a right to reject the renewal in the future? To enter to a different agreement for better develop?
Yeah, my understanding of the lease would be at council's will. The only issue is the status of the building on the property. Right now, by keeping the lease in place, that is what you can use to enforce the cleanup of the land as it exists, because there's language in the lease on the lands.
Can I continue? One of the reasons I ask this because of they have a I believe it's a verbal agreement they're going to clean up last year. So it seems like they are buying time to do that. So I think as a city perspective, I'd like to see that acting, or maybe we should put a time frame to do that. Because this is not really what I like to see moving forward. But I will support this resolution today because of it is what it is right now. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Any other councilors? No, sir. Yes, I too would like to make sure that the place is safe for everybody, and I have mentioned it to Mr. Chicanis, and he's done his due diligence in getting a hold of my Landsberg. Call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Six point six is a resolution to authorize administration to enter into an exclusivity agreement with Arctic Beverage. Resolution 2023-114, moved by Councilor Wong, seconded by Councilor Fitzpatrick. Be it resolved that council authorize administration to enter into the product exclusivity agreement between City of Thompson and Arctic Beverages LP for a period of 5 years, starting September 1st, 2023 to August 31st, 2028, with an option renewal of 5 years commencing September 1st, 2028 to August 31st, 2033. Administration.
We've received 2 responses to our expression for interest in our local paper, one being Arctic Beverages. We've not had a exclusive contact with anybody since 2018, and at that time it was Arctic Beverages. We are recommending that it be entered for a 5-year agreement with them. And it is in line with the current lease agreement that's with the current overall concession.
Thank you. Councilor Wong, Ms. Mover, do you have any comments?
Sure, thank you, Madam Mayor. I think this is kind of like a renew to me because we already did it last time. So hopefully we monitor whether they fulfill the agreement, whatever they promised to do. So hopefully the administration will give us any update occasionally with this. And also, thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other councilor comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Six point seven is a resolution to approve the waiving of fees for truth and reconciliation. Resolution 2023-115, moved by Councilor Fitzpatrick, seconded by Councilor Lundmark. Whereas the Truth and Reconciliation Day Committee has requested that the City of Thompson waive the Thompson Regional Community Center rental fees for Truth and Reconciliation Day, September 30th, 2023. And whereas Council of the Committee of the Whole reviewed the request and are in support of waiving the TRCC rental fees. Now therefore be it resolved that Council waive 50% of the fee associated with the TRCC rental fees for the annual Truth and Reconciliation Day at a cost not to exceed $1,157.04. Administration.
So this would be the first year that Truth Reconciliation is going to be taking place at the TRCC on September 30th. And because it is a statutory holiday, there are additional costs for staffing. It does fall in line with our fee, moving fees policy to waive the 50%. The $1,157 is for 6 hour event. However, it might be only 3 hours after having conversations with the group, but we put in for the 6 hours just in case they do plan on adding some days on to your event.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Fitzpatrick, is Luber, do you have any comments?
No comments, thank you.
Any other council comments? Deputy Mayor Valentine.
Thank you, Mayor Smook. I'll be supporting this. I can't remember at Committee of the Whole if we discussed having the waiving of fees policy brought forth to council or not for review. So I just wanted to make sure that if we didn't, that we do, because I feel that Truth and Reconciliation, September 30th and National Indigenous Days shouldn't have to come to this table for resolution. So I'd like to see that brought forth for review. Thank you, Mayor Smook. I'll be supporting this.
Thank you. Councillor Oberdorfer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'll be supporting this as well. However, I don't think that we should be charging any fees for Truth and Reconciliation Day. It's a day of healing in our community, and it's a really important event for our community to come together. And I don't think that we should be charging any fees, given that we don't have any fees for Canada Day. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, call to the question. All those in favor? Carried. Six point eight is a resolution supporting a member of council to the board, appointing a member of council to the board of revision. Resolution 2023-116, moved by Councillor Lundmark, seconded by Councillor Chung. Whereas on November 2nd, 2022, passed resolution 2022-192, appointing Councillor McIver, Councillor Colburn, Councillor Lundmark to the board of revision. And whereas Councillor Colburn is on a leave of absence until November 2023, which has left a vacancy on the board of revision that needs to be filled, as the board of revision cannot be less than 3 persons. Now therefore be it resolved that council approve Councillor Fitzpatrick to the 2024 board of revision. Administration?
Okay, nothing further.
Okay. Councillor Lundmark, any comments, as councillor?
No, welcome aboard.
Thank you, Councillor Fitzpatrick, for doing this, so we don't have to have an election, so much appreciated. So with that, call for the question. All those in favor? Congratulations, Councillor Fitzpatrick.
Thank you.
And thank you. 6.9 is a resolution to authorize administration to enter into Operation Red Nose Agreement. Resolution 2023-117, moved by Councillor Fitzpatrick, seconded by Councillor McIver. Whereas Safety Services Manitoba has authorized to manage the Operation Red Nose program in Manitoba. And whereas Safety Services Manitoba is requesting that the city of Thompson be identified as the host to operate the local Operation Red Nose organization campaign in the city of Thompson. And whereas the city of Thompson will take on all responsibilities of organizing and implementing the service. Now therefore be it resolved that council approve the request from Safety Services identifying the city of Thompson as the host organization that enters into a contract between Safety Services Manitoba and the city of Thompson for Operation Red Nose 2023. Administration.
Yes, this is an annual request that comes forth to council for Operation Red Nose from Safety Services Manitoba. And as there was discussion at the last committee of the whole, there used to be other organizations that would host this and run it. But as those organizations don't exist anymore, the request has come to the city since then. So it's an annual request so that we can host Operation Red Nose.
Thank you. Councillor Fitzpatrick is the mover.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I'm in favor of this as Operation Red Nose is an important event for the city, especially around the holiday time when there's a lot of drinking and carrying on, so definitely support it.
Thank you. Any other councillors comments? Okay, I'd just like to say that the Operation Red Nose team was already out this past weekend, recruiting persons for Christmas time. So you have a chance, fill out your application and get your checks in, and you can be a driver. It's actually a lot of fun, and it helps the community and keeps people off the road that shouldn't be there. With that, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Six point 10 is a resolution authorizing administration into agreements with Enterprise Fleet Management Canada and the city of Thompson. Resolution 2023-116 moved by Councillor Wong, second by Councillor Chong. Be it resolved that council authorize administration to enter into the following agreement with Enterprise: full maintenance agreement, master equity vehicle lease agreement, maintenance management agreement. To administration.
Yes, so in the past, council has allocated dollars for the purchase of vehicles, and the administration hasn't been successful in being able to procure those as one-off purchases due to a number of different market factors. Over the last several years, the AMM trading company has increased the number of offerings through its system, and one of those is the Enterprise Fleet Management System. Enterprise presented to council on different models of what they could offer the city for fleet management services, and after lengthy debate, council has recommended for tonight a vote on entering into an agreement with Enterprise for the maintenance, the master vehicle equity, and maintenance management agreements this evening.
Thank you. Councillor Wong is the mover.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to ask, this year I know we used the reserve to fund this project. I'd like to know, moving forward in the future, because this money will come up from operation, it's going to be taxed. How much is going to be cost the taxpayer? If anybody can give me a number?
Okay.
Yeah, the numbers were presented to council in previous meetings where the sheets were attached, showing how the system would work over the 10-year period. So there'd be equity in the first several years, and then as the fleet vehicles were cycled out, they'd be sold off, that money would be put back to equity, and then the council would pay whatever the difference is in between. All that information is available to council and all that.
I'm just asking a simple question, how much in total?
The dollar figures were on the sheets that we were provided.
So there's no straight answer there.
I don't have the answer in front of me, but all that information has been provided to council.
Another thing, I did dig down to figure out all this based on the discussion we had, why some of my colleagues and the administration so looking forward to privatize this fleet services. And there was a conversation between the administration and the union. I say that even though one of the reasons we cannot get vehicle, so, and also the service will cost a lot of overtime for the mechanic to do the work, which is not true. It's just bare minimum. Even though you compare the overtime that we have to pay for the union to do the vehicle or service, it's still cheaper than bringing it to the shop. And another thing that I dig down is, and the administration promised the maintenance service will remain in-house, and now we are privatizing. So we are giving to someone else instead of in-house doing the maintenance. So That's also not true now. And I also look at the agreement. The agreement never stated they're going to provide a 2-wheel drive truck. Because that's what we always ask for. And also because we ask for 2-wheel drive truck, it costs a lot of time. You do not get the vehicle because do not make that anymore. Have to be special order. So in the future, are we having a 4-wheel drive or 2-wheel drive for those fleet that we go to lease from them?
My understanding is that when they made the presentation, they said they were doing 4-wheel drive vehicles because there was a better resale value on those. That was my understanding from.
So the point I want to make it up is because if we order a 4-wheel drive, we could have a lot of the truck to be ordered quicker. Anyway, I would never support this kind of privatize because we have union in place and basically we are trying to throw them under the bus. They're not capable to do the work. I will not support that and I ask for a call to vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Other councillors, Councillor Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. One of the concern I am like to know about, I asked a question, I think on the previous meeting, regarding to what happened, this enterprise service is not up to our expectation. How do we get out of it?
Anthony?
So Neil reached out to the fleet managers to understand how that works. And their basic answer was if you want to terminate the partnership, you would simply buy up the leases of the existing vehicles. That would terminate your relationship with them. So it's as simple as a outright purchase. So most communities, and that's what's proposed in this one here, is you start off with a portion of the fleet. I think we're proposing about 1/3 of the fleet to start off with. If council isn't satisfied with what's happening, then council would tell administration that you don't want to proceed any further. You want to terminate the lease, we would then have to calculate the cost and make that happen for council.
Anything further?
Yeah, no problem.
Deputy Mayor?
Thanks, Mayor Smith. So I'm going to be supporting this. This has been a lot of presentations twice by Enterprise. We have talked about this lots as council and last week committee as a whole. It was a consensus to bring this forward tonight so we can move forward with it. The numbers and everything council has. It's an approximate 10-year savings of $261,700, and that's because you build equity in the vehicles. Up to 5 years it takes, but you start to build the equity. So it's a lower cost of ownership at the end. The cost approximately on 14 vehicles, they said was about $135,000 a year. And so that's literally the price to buy 3 new. We don't have the money right now to replace our fleet. So this is a great opportunity and tool for us to try to do this. And it is less downtime with new vehicles instead of the continuous repair and trying to fix up what we already have. And it takes time, but there is going to be a return on investment for this. And that was all clearly shown to us. And we still have that information. I do appreciate last Monday at committee of the whole, there were some good comments brought forth from a few councillors that brought up some different points also. So I look forward to this. I think it's a great opportunity to try. There's other cities within our province that are doing it also, Morden and Steinbach for sure that are doing it. So I think it's time to try something new and I look forward to this. So I'll be supporting this, Mayor Smith. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Lomar?
Yeah, I reviewed this, the agreement, the maintenance agreement. The equity that we should be seeing in this, I know it's a little frightening, it's a total different way of approaching our fleet. I worked for the province for the last 27 years and we have a fleet vehicle system and hydro panel fleet vehicle system. Then there's other cities that are doing this. We're going to try for sure. I'm thinking that being more efficient and looking forward to seeing how it rolls out. There's still a little fear factor there, but you know what? We're gonna try some new things and I hope this will work. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors comments? Councillor Wong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I think the government will try to get out of this. I will try to get out of this. BMA try to get out of this. If Valley try to get out of this, I don't see anybody want to get into it. They'll try it. They try it. Obviously, it's not cheap to run this. Maybe some perspective is good, but not all. So, by the way, Madam Mayor, by entering this agreement, how much commission we gonna get from enterprise? Do we get any commission from doing this?
Yes, I believe there was a ability, they were going to give us a report, regular report.
A commission, we're not,
Oh,
a dollar
commission?
commission, no, there's no.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I know since 2014, since we've been on council, we've struggled to replace vehicles and have them. I think this is definitely worth a try on our part. And again, it's a big step and it might be a bit scary, but I think as has been said, if it doesn't work out, there are options that just scrubber down the line. So with that, I'm going to call for the question and a recorded vote as per Councillor Long. All those in favor? Councillor Oberdorfer, Councillor Lundmark, Mayor Smoot, Deputy Mayor Valentino, Mayor McIver again, there you go. And Councillor Fitzpatrick, opposed? Councillor Chong, Councillor Long. It is carried.
Councillor Fitzpatrick, you raised your hand for opposed? Oh, okay, we saw your hand go, so we thought it was already twice.
My apologies.
6.11 is a resolution authorizing the administration to enter into manager infrastructure as a service agreement between the city of Thompson and Epic/Lucid. Resolution 2023-1119, moved by Councillor Lombard, second by Councillor Fitzpatrick. Be it resolved that council authorize administration to enter into a managed infrastructure as a service agreement with Epic to support the Lucid enterprise asset management system. Administration.
One of council's directives to the administration is to develop an asset management program for the city of Thompson. The city has procured in the past software called Lucid through a company called Central Square, which also does our financial software. The city administration worked with Lucid and Epic to determine different costs for either hosting it locally with servers in our own building or hosting it on the internet. The pricing was developed for council's consideration, and the administration is recommending that we go with Epic for a cloud service, as it is the most cost effective in the long term. So we brought this forth in June. Council said they wanted to do further budget deliberation before approving. So it was tabled until council had a possible ability to look at the budget, was reviewed and was brought forth for this evening for approval so that we can keep the Lucid asset management system moving forward.
Thank you. Councillor Landmark as mover.
Be supporting this, looking forward to this. We've been working on this asset management for 4 or 5 years now, and looking forward to this project getting done. And I know how much the staff have been working on this for a few years now, so I'm glad that this is another hurdle that we're crossing. Thank you.
Thank you. Other councilors comments? Yeah, this is definitely something that management and administration has been looking for a while, so I'm sure Ramsey will be out ordering it tomorrow morning, and thank you to everybody if this goes through. But that I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. Next, we're moving into bylaws. Bylaw 7.1 is the first reading of bylaw 2036-2023, being a zoning bylaw amendment for care home. Resolution 2023-120, moved by Councillor Lundmark, second by Councillor McIver. Be it resolved that bylaw 2036-2023, being a bylaw of the city of Thompson to amend the city of Thompson zoning bylaw 1891-2012 as amended, which will amend figure 18 permitted conditional uses in the residential high density RHD zone by adding care home as a conditional use introduced and read for a first time. Lyle?
Yes, good evening. This is we've had a zoning bylaw amendment sent to us from the property owner of 364-424 Princeton, which is the towers, to add a care home as an allowable use in the residential high density zone. Care home is allowed in all of our residential zones except for high densities. Really, this isn't going outside of what we do in other areas. The owner of the tower is looking to work with the Aurora Healing Center and develop a big renovations and open recovery center in the towers. So again, this will be the first reading of this. We've had discussions. I see an error in my memo. It's Brett Mack, not Brett Mark. Brett Mack, our regional planner, and our chief building inspector, Dan Haywood here, have reviewed this a couple of times over, and care home is the best fit for what they are wanting to do for use. Municipal relations, prepare the documents, and we're here for tonight for the first
Thank you. Councillor Lundmark?
Yeah, supporting this, anything that we can to help the people and by making this variation, it's a small step for us and it could do a lot of help. Thanks.
Deputy Mayor Delahunt?
Thanks, Mary. So I'm going to be supporting this, first reading of this. I look forward to public comments at the public hearing on October 10th. I do have, some questions probably at the second reading. I've been doing some, kind of looking at how that Aurora Healing Center is working throughout the province with a little bit of their fee for service. So I'll be supporting this and look forward to public comments. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you. Any other comments, councillors? Okay, I also think this will fit very well into our community well-being and safety plan. It's another step forward for many of our residents. So with that, I'll go for the question. All those in favor? Carried. And as Deputy Mayor Valentino mentioned, October the 10th will be the public hearing. 7.2 is the first reading of bylaw 2037-2023, being a zoning bylaw for Fun and Yates. Resolution 2023-121, moved by Councillor Fitzpatrick, seconded by Councillor Jones. Be it resolved that bylaw 2037-2023, being a bylaw of the city of Thompson to amend bylaw 1891-2012 as amended, which will amend figure 48 permitted conditional use in the commercial downtown revitalization zone by adding retail sales store as a permitted use, be introduced and read a first time. Administration.
Yes, good evening again. So the Fun and Yates store, as we all know, saw the nature fire in July 2023. They have been occupying that space and operating as a retail sales store prior to the 2012 zoning bylaw. So retail sales store is not allowed in that zone currently. They were allowed to operate under packs. They're basically grandfathered in, and they're what is called pre-existing non-conforming. And basically that pre-existing non-conformance or non-conforming users are continued to operate until one of two things happen. One is their use category changes, or two is there is a major renovation of the building. A new building is considered a major renovation of the building. So administration, under guidance again through with Brett Mack and Dan Haywood, our chief building inspector, have put in a zoning bylaw amendment to add retail sales store to the commercial downtown revitalization store, zone, in effort to allow the funding needs to rebuild on the existing footprint and carry on.
Thank you. Councillor Fitzpatrick is the mover. Do you have any comments?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I'm absolutely in support of this. It's sorely needed. I'm sorry that they burnt down, but yeah, let's get it built back as soon as we can, please.
Thank you. Any other comments from councillors? Yeah, it's exciting to see everything moving as fast as it is with the Fun and Yates, so I'm happy supporting that. So with that, we'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. 7.3 is the first reading of bylaw 2038-2023 levy bylaw. Resolution 2023-122, moved by Councillor Wong, seconded by Councillor Fitzpatrick. Be it resolved that bylaw 2038-2023, being the levy bylaw of the city of Thompson for the year 2023, be introduced and read a first time. Administration.
Thank you, Your Worship. Once again, this bylaw is before you this evening, to set the mill rate for 2023. Just a couple of housekeeping things. We are going to be having a public hearing on the bylaw on the 25th of September at 7 o'clock here in the council chambers. As well, this levy bylaw does not increase the mill rate from 2022. So yes, that's kind of the good news, and our taxing date has been moved from September 30th to October 31st. So those are the major changes.
Thank you. Councillor Wong is mover. You have a comment?
Okay, Madam Mayor, I have not much to add to this, and we're for the votes.
Any other councillor comments? Seeing none, call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried.
It's recorded vote.
Oh, sorry, it was recorded vote, sorry. In favor, Councillor Oberdorf, Councillor Landmark, Mayor Smook, Deputy Mayor Valentino, Mayor McIver, there must be next one. Councillor McIver, Councillor Fitzpatrick, Councillor Chong. Opposed? Councillor Wong. It is carried. Seven point four is the second reading of bylaw 2034-2023, using the zoning bylaw amendment, Thompson Humane Society. Resolution 2023-423, moved by Councillor Lundmark, second by Councillor Fitzpatrick. Be it resolved that bylaw 2034-2023, being a bylaw of the city of Thompson, to amend the city of Thompson zoning bylaw 1891-2012, as amended to amend figure 48, permitted conditional uses in the CDRK zone by adding kennel boarding as a conditional use in that specific zone, be given a second reading. Administration?
Yeah, so this is the second reading of this. The documents have gone past municipal services. Municipal services is circulated. They have no feedback or no objection to any of their parties. It has been posted through the local newspaper. Myself, nor Danny, our building inspector, have received any comments or feedback in favor or against this. Public hearing was held this evening, and we had one party speaking in favor of it and 0 against.
Thank you. Councillor Lundmark is the mover.
So I'll be supporting this. We all know that building was the veterinary building forever. Long as I can remember. I know our administration has checked what's around there. As we heard tonight from Saw, he said that, you know, like, what we're trying to do and that the animals would be kept inside most of the time. I don't see this disrupting anything. It's a very needed piece of work for plan for our community. And thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, Valentino.
Thanks, Mayor Smook. I'm going to be supporting this also, second and third reading. I'd like to though comment on the Thompson Humane Society and as a board. Being on boards, it's very difficult to purchase buildings and it's a lot of work to get grants. So I appreciate the work of the Thompson Humane Society for actually thinking ahead and going through the work to get another building and to get this kind of a service that's needed in our community. So kudos to them and definitely supporting it. Thank you, Mayor Smith.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Wong?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will support this resolution, but I just have a question about the zoning amendment. Looks like that small little area, a lot of different amendment going on. You have retail, you have boarding, and then you have church, you have temporarily, like, looks like there's a lot of things happening there. Is it some sort of, we have to look into the big picture, see what exactly we can do about that area?
Anthony?
Right, looks like there's a lot of, there's all have a food bank over there. So,
Yeah, I can address that, Counselor. So that the zoning bylaw in 2012 was developed with a vision of how the city was progressing at the time before some of the changes were announced at the mine. It's well, I believe our planner has said it's one of the most complex zoning bylaws in the entire province. It has more zones in the city of Winnipeg, I believe. So it's overly complicated for its use. And that's why we keep identifying all kinds of inconsistencies and complexities. This is why that director and I wrote the grant for the Building Sustainable Communities Fund. I believe we were successful and council's accepted that grant. And we'll be tendering and hiring a company to rewrite our zoning bylaw to be more easier to use and more consistent with what council would like to see in our community.
yeah, one of the reasons I pointed out, because I want to minimize it, make it more friendly use, so that way it's not, you don't have to do too much of paperwork, come back and forth just to ask for amendment. It's just spending a lot of time for eventually we're gonna approve anyway, we don't want to stop business, so just to minimize the job, that's why I'm trying to point it out. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from councilors? Okay, I also commend the Humane Society for all the work from when they started their first building and how they've progressed through Thompson. Also, tonight was the night, if there was any of the neighbors that had objections to that, this was their chance to come forward and say them, and seeing none. I will now call for the question of all those in favor. Carried. Seven point five is third reading of bylaw 2034, 2023, and is withal third reading is an automatic recorded vote. Resolution 2023-124, moved by Councillor Lundmark, second by Councillor McIver. Be it resolved that 2034, 2023 be given third and final reading, and that it do now pass. Administration?
Only to say that it's going to be recorded.
It will be a recorded. Any other Councillor Lundmark, any more?
No, thank you.
Any other councillor comments? Over the question and a recorded vote. All those in favor? Councillor Oberdorfer, Councillor Wong, Councillor Lundmark, Mayor Smoot, Deputy Mayor Valentino, Councillor McIver, Councillor Fitzpatrick, and Councillor Shaw. It is carried. Seven point six, the second reading of bylaw 2035, 2023, being its zoning bylaw amendment for health services. Resolution 2023-125. Moved by Councillor Lundmark, second by Councillor Fitzpatrick. Be it resolved that bylaw 2035-2023, being a bylaw of the city of Thompson, to amend the city of Thompson zoning bylaw 1891-2012, as amended to amend figure 35 permitted conditional uses to the CMU zone by removing health services as a permitted accessory use and adding health services as a permitted principal use, be given a second reading. Administration.
Thank you. Again, coming back to Councilor Wong's comment earlier on, which is the convoluted nature of our zoning bylaw. Health services as a defined use category exists. It is an allowable principal use in some of our commercial zones, but not the specific commercial zone that this party is interested in purchasing building. So what we're looking to do is remove it from the accessory use and add it to the permitted use definition. And again, it will align with all other all other commercial zones in the city. It's been reviewed by Brett Max, strictly within his area. There's no feedback or objection. It's been circulated by Danny and then through the Thompson citizen, and no feedback has been received by either myself or Chief Building Inspector Dan Haywood. Public hearing is held tonight, where one party spoke in favor and 0 parties spoke against.
Thank you. Councillor Lundmark, Ms. Mooper, do you have any comment?
Yes, thank you. I'll definitely be supporting this. by making this permitted use, I'm sure this will make things easier to move forward with this. I appreciate the work that Chuck had done in bringing this forward. I look forward to the health services. I've had the pleasure of actually hearing a little more about what you have done, and we're really looking forward to it. So thank you very much. We'll get started. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Maloney.
Thank you, Mayor Smook. I'm going to be supporting this also on the third reading, and I do appreciate the awareness brought forth tonight from Ms. Matchuk, and I look forward to this moving forward because it's well needed in our city. So thank you, Mayor Smook. I'll be in support.
Okay, any other councilors comments? I definitely think it's a very important use and recognize the definite need, especially in the foot care up here. Possibly that down the line, the city can support you in getting some of your government help. So, thank you. With that, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Carried. 7.7 is third reading of bylaw 2035-2023, and this will be a recorded vote. Resolution 2023-126, moved by Councillor Lundmark, second by Councillor McIver. Be it resolved that bylaw 2035-2023 be given third reading and that it be now passed. Administration?
Nothing further.
Councillor Lundmark? Any other council comments? Seeing none, call for the question and a recorded vote. All those in favor? Councillor Oberdorfer, Councillor Wong, Councillor Lundmark, Mayor Smoot, Deputy Mayor Valentino, Councillor McIver, Councillor Fitzpatrick, and Councillor Chong. It is carried. And with that, I would like to call for adjournment. Councillor Wong, Councillor Lundmark, all in favor? All in favor? Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight.